and welcome back. So, if you're just tuning in, you happen to be joining us in the middle of the Smash Brothers documentary marathon here on Major League Gaming. And there's been a slight complaint with the documentary itself that there wasn't enough of a Midwest representation in it, right? Right, Jake?
That's what I hear. I hear there's a lot of people are just complaining that the Midwest wasn't fully represented to its full strength. So we thought we might try to touch upon that a little bit, and we have somebody here to kind of remedy that a little bit.
Okay, so let's bring our next guest. A lot of you might know him as one of the early Ganon mains, some guy from the Midwest.
It's none other than Eddie. So Eddie, what's going on, man?
Oh, not too much. How you guys doing?
Doing well.
Pretty good.
And again, thank you for joining us here. So,
no problem. Thank you for having me.
Oh, pleasure, of course. Now, Eddie, as we were saying, a lot of people were wondering, where's the Midwest in all this as this is going on? It's mainly been a quest of two coasts, the East and the West. The South has had very little representation. We've heard more about Japan than the Midwest at this point. What's going on in the Midwest as both scenes are developing on the East and the West?
Could you say that again? It's a little difficult for me to understand all that. It's a little fuzzy.
How was the Midwest developing during this time period? Where are the grassroots in the Midwest?
The Midwest, I think the Midwest always had a little more difficult for the Midwest to represent, and I feel it was always because of lack of movement, and we didn't do much movement in terms of going to places. It's harder to get to Minnesota as opposed to East Coast traveling one place to another place. So I don't think we had the ability to get better faster as opposed to especially the East Coast. I think the East Coast had a lot more people and a lot easier transit to get to.
That's true. Yeah, definitely. So you think that was really kind of an obstacle, just developing the community in general as a grassroots scene?
Oh, I think we had a good community. I think it's great. I like the Midwest. I wouldn't have it any other way. It's almost the same as East Coast and West Coast. It's just I don't know. I think the Midwest is always just a little. It's always the second or the third place to go. It's not up in the forefront.
Speaking of the different regions that were present in this last episode of the documentary, we actually looked at the FC crew battle. And were you there, present live for the event? And if so, what was the atmosphere like for that legendary crew battle that has really gone down in history with the community?
I was there. Actually, was the captain of the FC Midwest team. It was pretty intense. It was the most. I'd have to say that's probably the most intense feeling I've ever had in terms of watching a Melee event. Just because both the West Coast and East Coast, they wanted it. Obviously, West Coast didn't. Well, they wanted to beat the East Coast because they didn't want to hear it, and the East Coast wants to beat the West Coast just because so they can do their jumping and jiving and everything else. So it was a lot on the line. So it was intense. I don't know how else to put it other than most intense I can remember.
So Eddie, now we were marking on how you play Ganon. As the game, of course, has progressed, there are tier lists and things of that nature. Ganondorf is on the higher end of the spectrum, but kind of in the middle of the pack. What do you say to a lot of players that kind of pick characters that are known for results and might not be what they kind of want to play?
Can you say that again?
What are your thoughts on picking a mid-tier character?
It's a double-edged sword in the greatest sense. It could be great because you could add advantages where match up better than if you're playing a Falco. You probably played more Falcos than this Falco has played Ganon, so you have an understanding of that matchup. Then you have the total disadvantage of your character theoretically is not as good, which I think as I got older, I kind of realized that that's not the case. But when you're younger, you kind of think that more character has more potential. So it's frustrating to say the least, but both gratifying. So when you do end up winning, it's probably like, you accomplish something.
A lot of times, more than less, you're going to have the crowd on your side because everybody likes to root for the underdog, especially when it comes to the tier list underdog. Like, it's hard to not root for Ganondorf. Those sick, just Warlock Punch. It's the most hype thing in a tournament match, really. So. Did you experience that? Did you get a lot of extra support for playing a low tier character when it comes to like the crowd?
Yeah. I mean, I always did. I think wherever I went, people did root for me. I think the only place that they didn't root for me was Florida. Florida just had it out for me. But other than that, everywhere I went, I think people wanted me to win, or they wished me well, and stuff like that. So obviously, underdogging is. I mean, that's just America. I think it's just they root for the underdog no matter what. But yeah, I mean, I did feel a lot of support. Now that I didn't really ever thought of it that way, but yeah, like I said, other than for Florida, yeah, I mean, it was great.
It's really fantastic.
Yeah, it's really great.
So Eddie, before we let you go, how active are you currently in your scene?
Are you still involved?
Not really into the. I had a lot in my life. I mean, life is life. You gotta do what you gotta do. I bought a house, and I recently just had a baby. And you do all this stuff, and it was kind of funny. Almost, I don't know. I think a year ago, I went and played Smash Brothers again, and I was terrible. But it's like I still want to play. And it's such a great game, and it's still fun to play. So I'm hoping to make it out to a tournament or so, and play again. But we'll see how that goes. But it's probably gonna be terrible. I'm gonna play Ganondorf, and that's gonna be. I bet you I'll feel the same frustrations that I felt when I was losing before. So we'll see what happens, right?
So MLG 2014. If we had Smash at Anaheim, would you try to make it out? You think?
Anaheim's a good city. Yeah, sure. I definitely would try to go to Anaheim. And I mean, it's right now it's a hell of a lot warmer than where I'm at. I'm looking at a sheet of ice outside, and so that'd be cool. California's California. It's always fun. So, yeah, I'd go. Right.
Well, thanks for coming on, man. It's been a pleasure catching up with you and seeing what's going on. And
yeah. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to see Smash Brothers, hitting possibly the MLG scene again. I mean, that's fantastic. And I think MLG is great. I think it's great for everyone involved. I mean, it'll just be fun and get more people into this Smash Brothers scene. It's not like we need it, but more people is always better, right?
Hey man, growth is good. That's for sure.
Yep.
All right, well, thank you again, Eddie. We're going to go to a quick commercial break right now, and afterwards, I think we're going to have
another show match. We're looking at doing Reno versus Hacks, I believe. So it should be fun. My money's on Reno. I'm going with the underdog.
Well, I got to go with the guy that actually has money in his name, Hacks.
Hacks money.
And we're going to let you guys take a look after these commercials right now. Thanks for staying tuned with us, guys.